You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
I'm Bill Mulholland, and welcome to Good Sports Classics. Tonight, we continue the storybook basketball career of Central Falls native Claudia DeFaria. Claudia, as a power forward and a member of the Central Falls High School Lady Warriors, was a two-time All-Stater, a three-time first-team All-Valley selection, and surpassed 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds during her career. At CCRI, as a point guard, she was a second-team National Junior College Division III All-American and held the CCRI record for career points and assists. At Rhode Island College as a center, she was the 1995 Little East Conference Player of the Year, leading the conference in scoring with 19.2 points, 11.3 rebounds, and with a field goal percentage of 56% efficiency. Claudia is a member of the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Athletic Hall of Fame, the CCRI Hall of Fame, the Rhode Island College Hall of Fame, the Little East Conference Hall of Fame, and the New England Basketball Hall of Fame, among others. Welcome back to Good Sports Classics,
Thank
Claudia.
you. Thank you for having me back. Appreciate it.
Love it, yeah. And now we're going to go over and move from high school to the collegiate level and then on to the college. So Claudia, in part one of your hoop story, we took a deep dive into your stellar Lady Warriors career at Central Falls High School. Tonight, we move on to your collegiate careers at CCRI and at Rhode Island College, along with your 30 years of coaching high school and women's college basketball. So Claudia, after Central Falls, you decided to play for Coach Dave Chevalier at CCRI. How was his coaching style different from your high school coaches, Kaz Malik and Bruce Maxout?
It was different because he was really intense.
Okay.
A very intense coach.
And what do you mean by intense?
I mean, there was no joking, really, when it came to teaching, to learning, anything that the man was coaching us with. And I'll be honest, him and John Arecchia, who was the assistant at the time, because he was also, I had the foundation of being fundamentally sound, but he's just solidified a lot more for me. And I credit the two of them for the collegiate career that I ultimately had and the success I had. That type of intensity that he had as a coach, I would say some of the way the motivation happened, you couldn't get away with it today.
Okay.
Because he was a bit of a yeller.
All right.
But as a player at that time for me, that really motivated me. So if I have to define.
Were you surprised by that when he came on that strong, or did you know he was that way?
You heard rumblings.
Okay.
I had known other rumblings. You hear things, but until you experience it, I was like, whoa.
Was he intimidating? Not to that intensity?
No, not to that intensity. Not to
Okay.
that intensity. At that time, when I think about it, it was a good motivating tool for me.
Okay.
That I needed to. If he's yelling at me for whatever the cause was, my mindset went, well, then I'm going to shut you up I'm going to do exactly what you've asked me to do. Now, what are you going to yell at me for, right?
Yeah.
And it just helped motivate.
That's a good mindset.
So intense for sure.
Now, Claudia, what happened on the first day of practice that caught you completely off guard at CCRI?
So we're in the gym, new school, new teammates. Coach Chevalier comes up to me and says, "You're going to be our point guard."
And you said, what?
I laughed. I said, "You're joking, right, Coach?" No, he wasn't joking at all.
Okay.
The seriousness in his face, he says, "No, I'm not joking. You're probably the most versatile player on the team. You're going to be the point guard."
Interesting. Okay.
And the only thing I could say was, "Yes, Coach."
So you shot one you made one three-pointer in your entire high school career, and now they're putting into point guard mode, not knowing they're going in that. So how was that transition for you as far as not playing so much underneath? I'm sure you were still getting rebounds, but playing outside and hitting the long shots.
It was a learning curve. Again, having basics. But I remember in practice, I would do all the guard workouts. And then I would also have double duty where I had to go do the post workouts. Just in case there was the occasion for strategy purposes, if I had a smaller guard, I could go into the post.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
If I had a taller player playing me, working on my ball handling and such, I'd keep me on the outside. So it was wild, the double duty. What ended up happening as well, that I would either stay after practice or I'd come in, a little, maybe 20 minutes before practice and just hammered out a lot of the ball skills that I needed to do. And again, keep it simple, stupid, in that it wasn't, all these fancy moves. That wasn't me. It was keep the ball below the knee, staying low in your athletic stance, and that's what I did.
But how about the three-pointers now? That's a whole different realm that you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
So how did you work on that now this is during the course of the season. Well, I guess for the fall you started working out at that point in time?
Yes.
Okay.
So we were given, like a workout packet to do. So for me, what I really needed to develop was my leg work. My upper body form was fine, but anytime you're extending out, it's really about you locking and loading your legs.
Sure.
And so there was a lot of having to practice the actual technique of shooting long range shots.
And did coach have that ability to go over and teach you what you needed to do?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Because it was out of my realm.
Sure.
Put me inside, coach.
Yeah.
Put me inside.
So Claudia, as it was at Central Falls, you started every game for the CCRI Knights, but this time as a point guard. So let's talk about the highlights of your freshman year. You had a game, you had 32 points, 10 assists versus Massasoit. So talk about shooting threes at that point in time, and then the assist also.
So yes, Coach always said to have a point guard who's a scoring point guard is a bonus. That's what he developed me into doing. So, but I also remember in my freshman year, we had Geraldine Johnson, who was our center, and she was about 5'9", so like a small forward person. But she had the best hands. She learned to use her body fantastically in the post. So again, like that combo duo, where if they're stopping her from getting the ball, then they had me on the outside.
Yeah.
Or I'm passing it inside, and again, she had great hands. It was beautiful to watch her play. Pick and rolls,
Yeah,
pick and
I
rolls,
bet.
and then just her posting up, using her body and going inside, and she couldn't do anything, kicking it back out to me, and I was ready to launch.
Yeah.
And we had that combination, but I was the point guard who could score, and still rebound from time to time.
Yeah. So how different was that? So you did give and goes and the rest, right? But now you're on the opposite side. So a little strange, or how did you talk to that person that you're just talking about on what you wanted her to do, because you knew how to do that already?
I actually asked her to tell me what she needed.
Okay.
It really was predicated on what she needed me to do. And for me as the point guard, it made more sense to me. So I would work really hard to get myself in a position that I could get her the ball inside. If it's taking a couple of extra dribbles in one direction or the other, or making that extra pass, so now my teammate who's open, they can dump it into her who's in the right position. So it was really predicated on her and what she wanted and how she wanted, because honestly, as well as I had been doing, she was the focal point of the offense.
And so did you have any high school adversaries that were now on the CCRI team that you had played against?
None that I played against, but
Okay.
a few that I knew.
Right, yeah.
A few that I knew. And actually, Amy Corrigan had become a teammate. She came to CCRI.
Oh, she did?
She did, and she was my backup She was my backup point guard. And to think that she was, my point guard in my high school
absolutely.
time, but she was my backup.
Now, you had another game in the playoffs where you scored 24 points, had 19 rebounds, and 6 assists. So how do you get 19 rebounds from the point guard, or was that where you had a smaller person guarding you? Do you remember that game in the playoffs?
The instinct, assume that your teammate's missing, and that's what I did. I would assume they were missing, and understanding the area that I was, if they're shooting on the right side of the floor and I'm on the left, it's more likely it's coming to me, so I'm going after it.
But point guards, usually, once the ball goes up, they're going back just in case the other team is running the fast break. So how do you balance that, Claudia?
It was learning to watch the defenders, and that's
Okay.
what Coach was really good at in teaching us. You've got to watch what are they doing. If they're not watching you, right? If their eyes are on the ball, so they've now turned their head, they don't know where you are. So that's your advantage. So if they were looking to the right, I would try to sneak left, because by the time they realize I'm not there anymore, I'm already going to the basket. So a lot of it was what Coach was teaching us about the game. Because one thing he said to all of us, he goes, I'm not coaching males or females, I'm coaching basketball players. You want to be known as a basketball player. And that's what he did. Regardless of our sex, we were basketball players, and that's how we chose.
How cool is that? Yeah, that must have been really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so Claudia, let's move into your sophomore season at CCRI, where you were named as a second-team National Junior College D3 All-American. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You finished as the all-time record holder in points with 916, in assists with 214, and converted the most three-pointers in a game ever, 7, at CCRI. So let's talk about the game where you had 22 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists for your first triple-double against Massasoit.
Well, it was a lot of work, obviously.
Yeah, I bet it was.
It was a lot of work. I'll be honest, it was a bit of a blur, but, to be able to have that stat line for that particular game really was, again, a credit to what my coaches helped develop me to become. I might have been, been that player that had all those skills, but the fact that stat line exists, I give that to the credit to my coaches, because they developed me to be able to do that. And it's just nice, because triple doubles are not easy to achieve at all.
I would think not.
They're not easy to achieve.
Especially at 5'10" or 5'9" that you were at that point in time.
Yeah.
But still just a wonderful accomplishment for you, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you also tied the single game scoring record, like you did at Central Falls, with 38 points, while hitting, here you go, a record 7 3-pointers versus Suffolk. So talk about that transition now to go over and hit 7-3 and set the record at that point in time.
Yeah, I didn't.
So where did you like to hit? Were you top of the key?
I was, yes.
Off to the wings? Where were you?
Top of the key, and probably within, 5 feet or so.
Okay.
Definitely from there. Again, a lot of that had to do with who our post players were, to be able to kick that ball back out and find me on the perimeter. And again, hiding from the defender, watching the back of their head. If they're looking this way, go that way, and and being able to shoot. I was probably really tired too.
Oh, I bet. That's a lot of heaving there, right?
That is a lot of heaving,
yeah.
for sure. And but yeah, to hear that today, it's like, wow, that really is, it's an accomplishment to think that I was not a 3-point threat.
In high school, you had one.
Ever, right?
You had one,
right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And so you never made first team All-State, even with that spectacular senior year that you had. But now you come to CCRI, you're second team All-American. We're not just talking Rhode Island, we're talking about all the junior colleges in this area here.
Yeah.
So talk about that achievement and having that type of notoriety and your move and how you were able to move into be such a successful junior college player.
Yeah, when I was told I achieved an All-American status, I said, this can't right. There's no way. But what I learned was the stats showed that that's where I deserve to be.
Sure.
And again, I credit my coaches for seeing the potential that I had and what they needed and developing that aspect of me. I was pretty hesitant to say, yep, I'll do the point guard. I'll be the point guard for you.
Yeah.
And but you know, they knew what they
What
wanted
they had in
and
you
they had in
also,
me, and
yeah.
more so than I couldn't even imagine for myself, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, but that shift, as
What was more fun
It was
at
wild.
at that point in time? Was it more fun being the point guard, or was it more fun in high school being the power forward?
Oh, it was absolutely more fun being the power forward.
Yeah, really.
Absolutely. The responsibility of being the point guard, being a point, it's a
weighs
lot.
heavy?
Oh, it was really heavy.
Okay.
Right? Because you are the extension of the coach. So he's yelling at you, whatever it is that we got to do, and if it's not coming out right, it's on you, right? Regardless of what the other 4 players are doing, I'm still supposed to make sure, and I learned that. It took me a long time to figure that out, but there was so much pressure being the point guard. I really do envy the point guards.
Oh, okay, you got an
Oh, yeah.
appreciation of that,
Absolutely.
right? Because you finished 9th in scoring in the nation, right? Spectacular.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell the story of the New York story with only 5 players in your shin splints. It's a great story.
So at CCRI, the women's team played at, the women practice at the Lincoln campus. The floor there is rubber. So like the rubber floor is supposed to be more, you can maintain it and whatever else they said. So, but we would play at the Warwick campus, the floor was wood there. My 2 years at CCRI, I had shin splints. Painful.
Oh, they are awful.
Painful.
If no one ever has shin splints,
Yeah.
you don't want to even be walking on those things, right?
Not at all. So it's during the Christmas break, but we have a swing games somewhere in New Jersey or New York, and there's only 5 of us eligible to go. We were waiting for someone to be eligible in the second half, but we had some teammates who could not come onto the trip for whatever their reasons were. So there's 5 of us.
Workers, right?
Right.
Everyone was working.
We were
in junior
all
college,
working.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
So we played the first game. We win. We go to dinner. We go to the hotel. We go to bed. We wake up the next morning, and one of my teammates is sick with food poisoning. I mean, like sick. Like,
absolutely.
She's losing cookies.
Yeah.
So coach says to the officials and the other team, listen, I only have 5. I got Claudia with bad shin splints. I got this one not feeling well. We're going to start with 5 because you have to. That's the rule. Okay. But I'm going to sub them out. So we started. She comes out because stomach's going a mile a minute. And when I could no longer run.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure we had a lot of turnovers that game because you didn't want to use the timeouts, throw that ball out. I'm coming out sub. She would go in. I'm at the end of the bench with ice packs. And when she's running over to the bench, throw out the ball again.
Really?
I'm running back in. I'll tell you, Bill, I don't know how it happened, but we won.
And so the crowd must be seeing all this, right? So did you ever play 4 on 5?
Not after that. That was the only time.
So during that game, it was 4 on 5.
It was 4 on 5.
Okay.
Because, again, the rule is you must start with 5.
Yes.
And you can actually play up till having 2 people, right? Because as long as you have someone to inbound the ball, you can play 2 on 5.
Never thought,
You can play 2 on 5.
about that drastic extent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure our turnovers are really high, but I don't know how we did manage. But I remember we won. Yeah, we won.
Neat.
So, yeah.
All right, so Claudia, that sort of ends your playing career at CCRI, and you took off 1 year to finish up your associate degree at CCRI, which is a wonderful thing to do. My cameraman Dick and I both graduated from Rhode Island Junior College, and sort of was a nice step for us to go into the next college experience. So how did that respite benefit you personally and also athletically of taking the year off?
Certainly personally, was the shin splints went away.
Okay.
I was able to rest, so physically was able to rest. The grind was a lot, targeted quite a bit. So, again, just physically being restful, but academically it certainly allowed me to catch up with my academics. I've a bit of a learning disability or challenge, I like to call it. So I needed a little extra time in order to finish my degree there.
Yeah. Were you working at the time too?
I was.
You had a job, right? We all did.
Yeah, I worked part-time at the community center.
Okay.
I did it for years. So, but I never stopped playing. So I got to play in summer league, certainly working at the community center. I got to play with the kids. I can call them kids now. I'm a little older, so the kids there now. And you know, and just now allows me to try to just focus, like, what is it do I really want to do moving forward? I knew that I wanted to go into law enforcement, so I started to look at the varying schools. Like Salem State has a great program there. Salve Regina also has a great program. I knew Rhode Island College had a good program there. And, you know, staying closer to home, knowing some of the women on the Rhode Island College team, just kind of, and financial aid too, you know, truthfully speaking. It all helped
all of us,
to stay home. And I had a number of friends who went to Rhode Island College, so, you know, stay close.
So you were second team All-American. So did schools go over and know who you were and then come over and say, hey, why don't you come over to our D3 school or D2 school?
I had actually received a Division I offer.
From where?
From Long Island University.
Okay.
Unfortunately, though, because I was not academically ready to go.
After you finished
After my playing time, I couldn't accept the scholarship. But I'll be honest, I've been asked, oh, do you ever wonder? And you know, I think the career that I had, I don't wonder if, you know, would have been better had I, you know, been able to accept the scholarship. And I don't wonder about that because it didn't happen. So I'm happy.
What you did at Rhode Island College is phenomenal, really was. So you're going to finish your epic basketball playing journey at Rhode Island College. Mm-hmm. Now, so you were a starting forward at Central Falls. Mm-hmm. You were a point guard at CCRI. Now you go to Rhode Island College and you end up being a starting 5'10" center. So you got all three positions done for Coach Hopkins, Ken Hopkins, who was presently the mayor of Cranston, right?
Yes.
So what was your reaction to Ken's request, or did you just say, well, okay, I did the same thing over at CCRI, here we go again?
Yeah. I said, oh, I'm going home.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm going home, back to the paint. I love it.
Pressing flesh, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, being physical.
Absolutely. Yeah, being physical, and I didn't skip a beat.
Okay.
You know, I didn't skip a beat going back down low. My skills in the post were still intact. Certainly that year off, I kept playing, so I kept refining and making sure that I was strengthening my.
But you had no idea. You thought you were going to be going there and being a point guard. For the most part, or did you not know?
I did not know.
Just let me play?
Just put me where you need me, coach. That was kind of the mentality I had, especially going from CCRI as a point guard. And my thought is, all right, so I played down low and I can play the perimeter. Where do you need me, coach?
Okay.
Type of attitude, and
you know, needed you at center.
Yeah, it had me at center. But it did help. So those skills did help. The guard skills did help because when teams did press and they're pressing our guards, I'm bringing the ball up the court. I can help bring that ball up the court because now I have the opposing center who probably doesn't play good perimeter defense, right? When you think about the perimeter, we like to be in the paint area, so being able to get by them quicker and start the offense and then, you know, get in the post or come to the high post and outrun that defender.
Because we're talking about 1994, 1995, around that.
Yeah.
And so now is the age of the centers out shooting three-pointers. But at that point in time, that wasn't happening.
No.
So were you still shooting three-pointers as you were playing center? Or, I mean, how did that work?
No, because
Okay.
we had the guards. I don't quite recall giving the green light.
Okay.
But I probably took a couple. I don't know how successful I was at that point, you know, not having done it as often, but it was definitely an option.
Okay.
Definitely an option.
Now, Claudia, when you arrived at the Rhode Island College campus, the Walsh Basketball Center in December of 1992 had a serious fire with the anchor women and the anchor men also not being able to play your junior and senior years on an on-campus court. How difficult was that for you?
That was really difficult, not having it on campus, right? You have no fans. We're playing at the Our Lady of Providence CYO gym.
No way.
Yes.
Really?
So,
Comparable to what in Pawtucket and Central Falls?
the Father Barry Center, the Shea High School, Tolman High School.
Wow.
Talk about small.
Yes.
And I'm thinking I'm in great shape until we go to the likes of Southern Maine, Eastern Connecticut, regular size court. I'm not that in shape, you know.
Okay.
It was, you know, so you had to work a little extra harder there.
Sure.
But yeah, and you know, again, not having the fans, not having the student body to really come on, come to watch, you know, just kind of defeating what you hope for that
Sure.
experience.
And so so you're a center, you grab the rebound, and if Father Barry, your outlet pass could probably hit a guy underneath the basket in the over there, yes?
Coach Hopkins would yell at me so many times. I was taught, you get the rebound, it comes through the net, right? Get through the net, you run out of bounds quick, and you can fire it off. You see your teammate, just fire it off. Well, I had a bit of a cannon, and I could fire that off, and that ball already hit the other side of the wall. So imagine the size of that gym where I can throw the ball, and it's already out of bounds.
Yeah.
It's out of bounds, and so now they get the ball back underneath the basket.
Right. So
And
Ken
see if
Hopkins is saying, you know,
Stop
sort of
it.
cool it down, yeah, you
Cool
know,
it.
West Sunsill there, or
Yeah,
yes?
yeah.
All right, now, so Claudia, in your first year at Rhode Island College, you were named to the first team All Little East Conference, where you led the conference in scoring with 21.2 points per game, rebounding with 11.3 boards, and field goal percentage with, again, 56% efficiency. This is just since your senior year, you've just been dominating in all things. So tell us about your junior campaign and how different was CCRI from compared to Rhode Island College. And now you do have some adversaries that you had played against now playing with you at Rhode Island College.
Yes. So we actually had Melissa Andiscavage, who was from Ponegantset.
Okay.
Now, mind you, in my senior year, we didn't play Ponegantset, but, you know, she was there and she had a stellar career. She's a Hall of Famer there as well. But, you know, to now, she's my teammate. But somewhere in my brain, I kept saying, oh, she's from Ponegantset. She's from Ponegantset. I don't like her. It's a lie.
Yeah.
But I found that the biggest difference was in the coaching styles, where Coach DeFaria was like really intense.
Yes.
And I felt Coach Hopkins was more laid back, which was strange to me, to be honest.
After 2 years,
yeah. It was strange to me. So that's what I found the biggest difference. I mean, the level of talent as well. I mean, these are women who've been playing for 3-4 years at this level. The Little East Conference is a good conference with the teams that are in there. So, you know, having that year off now, reacquaint myself to what that level of competition is, or will continue to be through my senior year. It was different, but it was definitely something that I got to learn quickly, though. But the biggest difference was in the coaching styles.
Yeah, I bet it was. Now, did you, at that point in time, were you hitting the gym as far as weights are concerned and weightlifting and the rest to get you stronger, or was that still not happening at the women's level?
I remember doing more agility work. So we
Okay.
had the trainers there. For me personally, was trying to work on my quickness and my agility more so than my strength. I think I was already naturally strong.
Sure.
So
Yep.
they were available, but I'll be honest, I didn't necessarily take advantage of weightlifting.
Okay. Now you had a number of once again double-doubles throughout the year, and had a good first year leading the conference and everything else. But you've got a story about Westfield State game and the player defending rather dirty to you, right?
Sure.
Okay.
So we're playing at Westfield State, and the defender playing me was just dirty. Between her yapping in my ear and taking some cheap shots, we go into halftime, and I am beside myself. So the captain said to me, Deb McGovern was the captain, and said to me, like, what's the matter? And I told her, I said, this is what she's doing. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to end up hitting this woman. Like, I'm done. So halftime, we go out on the floor. We're doing our layup lines. She goes over to the officials, and all of a sudden I see like the hands going back and forth. So she comes over. She goes, it's going to be all set. They're going to keep an eye on it. I said, what are you talking about? Well, the hand motions was telling the officials, See her, number 32, which is me,
Yeah.
and you see, I don't remember her number, over there?
Yeah.
Well, she is going to hit her because this is what she's doing. I will say, happily, that the
Yeah.
rest of the game,
Went a little bit. No, and
A
you
little
like
bit better.
physicality. That you don't mind the other opponent going over and muscling you and everything.
Yeah.
But it was different.
it was dirty.
Yeah.
Being shoved from behind, feeling that shove from, that's such a dangerous thing that I didn't appreciate it at all.
Sure.
I mean, chirping in my ear is one thing, but to just physically try to cause harm, that's a whole different ball game for me, and I don't appreciate it.
Sure. Now, Claudia, not surprisingly, you crushed it in your senior season at Rhode Island College. You were the very first player to be named the Little East Conference Player of the Year. Again, leading the conference in scoring with 19.2 points per game, rebounding with 11.8, and the only player to go over in your 2 years to score over 1,000 points and near 600 career rebounds. So you were the tallest player on the team at 5'10", from what I had read in the newspapers, right?
Yes.
So how big were the opponents that you were playing against? Were you coming up against 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, I think the average was about 6 foot, 6'1". So, I'm a small forward. I'm the undersized forward, and I learned to use my body and the skills that the coaches have taught me to use their strength, which typically is their height, to their disadvantage.
But a proper boxing out will, unless that person is 8 or 9 inches tall, you're going to go over and because they're going to follow you over the back, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Same principles. I would try to seal them, pivot quickly, take their thigh out in a sense, not to hurt them, but that pulls you back, and you're like, oh my goodness, what just happened? And after getting hit that many times and that repetitiveness, sometimes they didn't come close anymore.
And I wouldn't blame them. So what I want you to do, again, you've got a good story about the UMass-Boston game against a scrappy player against you there, Claudia. So why don't you tell us about that?
Certainly. So UMass-Boston was definitely known for their full court game, pestering our guards. So with my ball handling skills, coach said, you bring up the ball. But again, the young lady playing me, chirping in my ear and just not playing nice. So my point guard, who's probably 5'4",
Okay.
stocky, solid, she set a screen on that player as I'm coming off it. She went down. She went down.
That was the end of the trash?
Yeah, that was the end of that. And she, if she thought the screen was coming, she kind of like tightened up, and she didn't want to come anywhere near. So we helped each other out. So
that's the way it's supposed to work,
absolutely.
Right? Now, Claudia, you received Rhode Island College Distinguished Female Athlete of the Year that is awarded to a player recognized as a scholar athlete, a leader, and a role model. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
How satisfied were you with playing your final collegiate campaign? Had to be.
It was definitely satisfying in the sense that look what I was able to accomplish and continue, especially taking a year off. And it was very satisfying. And again, I give credit to my teammates and my coaches, especially my teammates. Similarly to that of high school, a lot of the focus was on me, what I was going to achieve, how I was going to achieve it, these accomplishments. And I know I worked hard to accomplish that, but having that support from my teammates just made that experience so much more gratifying, especially my last year, my senior year. We had, the year before when I came in, we had a stellar roster of people. So the bulk of them have graduated. So the bulk of them have graduated. So I was the only returning starter. We had again.
Right,
so I was the only returning starter. So now building, around that, and they were in the wings waiting to play, and they did. They fulfilled their roles as the best that we could. And I will say, though, I remember we lost in the playoffs to Western Connecticut State. So that's about a 3-hour drive back to Rhode Island. I cried knowing I would never wear that uniform again. Like I would never compete. So it kind of culminated so many mixed emotions knowing.
But to get that award, though, the Female
was,
Athlete of the
yeah,
Year, that
yeah.
especially scholar athlete, as hard as
Yeah.
you worked at the scholastic part of it also.
Certainly.
And there you averaged a double-double in both years at the Little East Conference.
Yes. Yeah.
That's something.
I believe.
Okay.
I believe in my senior year, it was a double-double the entire season, and I averaged like 38 points. I'm sorry, 38 minutes a game.
Wow.
That I remember my coach talking about that stat, and I was like, a double-double the whole year?
Yeah.
38 minutes, that's my average. I was like, whoa, that's
So
impressive.
they didn't want you. They wanted you on
I
that
was on
court.
the floor. Yeah,
Yes.
I was on the floor.
Now, Claudia, you graduated in 1995 with a Bachelor of Arts in Justice Studies, and have spent the last 30 years in child welfare and coaching at the high school and collegiate level. So with your playing days over, why did you decide to begin coaching basketball?
I did it as a favor to Coach Hopkins.
Okay.
He was the athletic director for the Cranston schools. So he approached me and said, hey, would you coach for a year, the JV at Cranston West High School? I said, all right, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing. I needed an extra year anyway at Rhode Island College.
Okay.
And, a little extra cash, yeah, why not? And I agreed. And like you stated, almost 30 years later,
Yeah.
it stuck.
So what did you learn from your first year coaching the girls at Cranston West?
Well, thankfully I had Mike Creed in there. So I actually had played with his daughter Colleen at Rhode Island College. And what I really learned from him is the patience it takes to coach and to communicate what you want to your players. Clearly I've been coached. I was the sponge that my coaches needed me to be, but to actually now be the one to have to give those directions, teach the skills, it was like a master class for me to watch the way he did it. The level of patience he had shown, and just the way that he would talk. Not to say that he didn't get upset and voices weren't raised, but it wasn't what I had in some of my previous coaches experienced.
Okay.
So I really took away like that aspect of coaching. The learning of the plays and drawing plays and things. Those are things that in time with more experience, I would learn. But what really stood out to me, reflecting back on what I learned, it was the one-on-one, that communication piece that you need with your players, because it was different. It was different.
So as a 5-year assistant coach at Cranston West, Claudia, what was your coaching philosophy? Now you've got 5 years underneath your belt. You had your first year. So now you're developing your own style of how you want to be coached, but still as an assistant coach.
Sure. So I looked at it as for me, it was really building the relationships, really building the confidence that no player, regardless of what your skill level was, that you were not good enough. Because I remember being told that I wasn't good enough. I was actually told by a Division III coach that I would not have a good college career. I just wouldn't.
And that motivated the hell
And
out
that
of you,
motivated
didn't it, right?
so much.
Yes, it did.
And I will say, I won't disclose the school, but when I was at Rhode Island College, it was one of the Little East schools. So when we went to go play there, I had only wished that coach was still coaching there, but
he wasn't.
It wasn't there. But
sweet,
I walked in that gym and I'm like, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough, or I wasn't going to be good enough. But so learning that, having that, my own personal experience, I wanted that for any of the young ladies that I coach. Like, you may not be the best player on the team, but you can certainly contribute to something. And I felt that it was my responsibility as a coach to get you to whatever that level is. So it may not be that you're going to score, 30 points a game, but can you rebound? Can you be a good teammate? There's variables that are not on a stat sheet, and I felt that those things were just as important. And that's what I wanted to convey and get out
especially
of
in high school. I mean,
Absolutely.
coaches, you have to go over and teach them time management if they want to be successful. And the life lessons also is
Absolutely.
I can't imagine that you were a yeller.
No, I wasn't. No, and again, right, working under Mr. Creed and Mike, the reality is my players could tell when I was building and I was going to explode. And I tried not to really do that. So some of them nicknamed me Jiminy Cricket. I would come behind them
Yes, we all know Jiminy
and have
Cricket.
have a conversation
Sure.
or make a statement that, hey, things look like they're starting to go into a lull. We don't want that happening, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Captain, I don't know what's happening, but you got to help motivate your team. But I think because of the style that I did develop throughout the rest of my career, they could see the buildup in me, and they would all, and I would hope that they would agree that when I did explode, there really was a valid reason for it.
A point to it.
There was
yeah.
really a point to it, and but I didn't want to necessarily yell because I knew what it did for me, but I also realized that's not working for them. So let's not do that.
But if you don't do it, and when you do it, you get their attention immediately,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
in 2002, you moved on to the collegiate coaching level as an assistant coach for your alma mater, CCRI. All right, wonderful. What was your role? And talk about the balancing act between an assistant coach and a head coach. We've always had head coaches on here, but we've never had an assistant coach who for 30 years, so I'm really interested in the dynamics of that, Claudia.
Wow. All right. So I'm the first.
Yes, you are.
But so largely my role was in dealing with logistics. So when we traveled, making sure that the hotels were all set, rooming lists, food, things like that. But from the actual basketball aspect, I would help with recruiting, film breakdown. I was usually also the intermediate between the training staff and the coaching staff, especially if someone was hurt. Head coaches don't want to hear that a player can't play.
Okay.
You're right. So I would get the information and then convey it in a way that would help temper the coaches most times. But I would really, in a sense, I don't want to say be a mother figure to the players at the collegiate level, but I'd like to say I was more of the auntie.
Okay.
That I would
Yep,
help.
even better.
Right.
Yes.
I think I make a good aunt.
Yes.
My niece and nephew will tell you that. But, we've had players from all over. We had a couple of kids from Australia, from Canada. So, we drew at the time, we were able to give scholarships at CCRI. So we were able to, get players in and, their parents aren't here. Some of them have a really long way to go if something were to happen. So
Yeah.
I took on some of that role as being the female coach. We're coaching females, and sometimes my male counterparts didn't quite understand. This is a female moment. Let's give it that.
Sure.
And just
Good
be
way to
able
put it.
to
Yes.
be able to have that dynamic to.
Now, Claudia, so I want you to inform our Good Sports audience on the differences between a male and female head coaches as it related to you and the players. So you had male coaches coaching the girls, and you also had females. So
Yeah.
talk about that dynamic.
Well, I will say that, so I've worked under 3 female head coaches during my tenure, and the rest were all males. And I will say with the males, one thing that I learned to do very well, again, because women, I'll probably be hated for it, but women can be emotional for a variety of reasons, and it can interfere with their focus on the court. I would try to make sure everybody was okay, and then be able to relay that to the coach, especially if it's a male coach, in a way that they will now show that, in a sense, sympathy or empathy, but without
yes.
losing the fact that we still have a task to do. We need to coach you, you need to win, and this is how we're going to do it.
Right.
So that balancing
Because it's
act.
a business at that
It
point in time,
absolutely
right?
is a business,
Yes.
right? It's somebody's livelihood.
Yes,
It-
absolutely.
and
It's the head
assets.
coaches, yes.
Yeah, especially for the head coaches. So, with the female coaches, being females, there was a little more of an understanding of that, and so in that dynamic. But in my time, I've been fortunate to work under head coaches that behind closed doors, we could argue, whatever it may be, but we would have a united front in front of the players.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So whatever the message was being relayed, it might have been a message that I wanted conveyed, and we then agreed. So, but it's still coming from the head coach. But I've been grateful to have been afforded the opportunity to have that kind of dialogue with the head coach. And it wasn't just the head coach, it was their decision, only decision. It was, this is not right, or I think we could do this better, or can we look at this aspect of something? But then we go to the coach. I'm sorry, we go to the players and this is the united front. And then in the reverse, we may have players struggling with certain things, like why is my playing time, been cut short? And I would say, listen, you're not going to walk into the coach's office and say, why is my playing time cut short? So
Yeah, that's
right?
not going to be helpful.
No, not at all. So giving them the guidance to be able to have those kind of tough conversations, and certainly in the field of work, my professional work has allotted me to have many of uncomfortable conversations and help provide some of that guidance.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, I said, you go in that office and say, Coach, what do you think I can do better to improve so I can get on the court?
As opposed to why am I not
Yeah.
getting the PT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So you were at CCRI from 2002 to 2008. During that time, your working career was in child welfare. So talk about how your day job came in handy, especially the time when you found the players sitting on the steps.
Oh boy. So I'm in child welfare, and during that period of time, I worked in residential. So residential with youth that are in DCYF foster care.
Okay.
So we had to learn a lot of different skills, like communication, be able to pivot quickly, right? Things that coaches also have to do in the flow of the game. Something's not working, you got to be able to pivot. Being organized. So I remember coming into practice one day. Communication's a huge one, and meeting people where they're at is also a big one in child welfare. So I come to practice, and the team's sitting on the steps. I got one crying, one's punching the wall. I'm like, what happened? And I look at it as college is that time that you're going to experiment and experience different things.
Absolutely.
And as a coach, if a relationship occurs on the team, I'm not a big proponent of it, but
Relationship meaning what?
two players wanting to have a relationship with
okay.
each other.
Got it. All right.
So, and that's what happened. I walked into two players are exploring.
Good
The
word.
head coach learned of it and said that he was going to have a conversation with the parents. So
You intervened, I hope.
I had to intervene.
Yeah.
So I went up and I had to let him know that he couldn't do that, why he couldn't do that, why it was wrong to do that. And specifically, I said, if you go and, in a sense, out this relationship and nothing comes of it, we don't know what the result of, the families now, how they're going to react to her. Will they shun her? And
It's a whole long range, everything. Yes.
It is.
So what did you do?
So we chatted, and he told me he wasn't going to do it.
Oh, good.
He understood where I was coming from, thankfully, and the reality is nothing came of that relationship.
Good. Okay. So that all worked.
So yeah.
But
so it worked.
If you were a business major, and now you wouldn't have the capability, you might have, but
Right.
but not the experience
Yeah.
to go over and handle things like that.
right.
Good for you.
And
that came in handy, didn't it?
Oh,
For you, 30
absolutely.
years, right?
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm sure you were always in demand to be able to do that too, right?
Well, I hope so.
Yes.
It really is helpful, especially the way coaching has evolved over the years as well. With mental health really coming to the limelight, certainly after COVID and things like that, to be able to have certain types of dialogues with players, it's just so helpful.
Sure. Now, Claudia, in 2008, you moved on to your other collegiate alma mater, Rhode Island College. So how cool was that? You're back to where you played each time, where you were probably one of the most legends at CCRI and also at Rhode Island College regarding women's basketball. So you now have 13 years of coaching experience, right? How have you changed from your early years at Cranston West?
Definitely, what has changed and evolved more so was my knowledge of the strategies of the game.
Sure, of course, yes.
Because especially at Rhode Island College, again, we're playing in the Little East. I was familiar with it as a player, and I had gone there with Marcus Riley, who I had coached with as well at CCRI, and he really pushed me more so when we got there for my opinions on strategies and scouting reports and things of that nature, where yeah, okay, I'm an assistant, and I can get away with, kind of doing the bare bones of it. I had the knowledge of it, but I didn't really have, I did it, but not to the extent that now it was being asked of when I went to Rhode Island College.
Sure.
And that definitely was something that was different and improved upon for myself as a coach. I think the relationship building with the players, alumni relations was also something that really was thrusted onto my plate when I went to Rhode Island College, because I'm an alum.
Okay.
And you want the alumni to come back, and if I came back, will somebody else come back to sit in the stands and support the team? And we were pretty successful in the time that we were there to do that, right? Because I have that rapport with the alumni, because I am an alum of the sport and of the school, so to do that. But I think for me, those two things were the biggest jump in my improvement as a coach, is the strategy aspects of things.
And you had 4 coaches at your time for 6 years or 7 years you were at CCRI. So you had a variety of different coaches all the way through. So you just glean whatever you can, the best of their qualities, and put them into yourself, and then off you go.
Yeah.
So after the 2013 season at Rhode Island College, you took a 5-year sabbatical from coaching, but returned in 2019 as the Director of Operations at Rhode Island College. What did you do during those 5 years, and what brought you back to Rick?
So at the time I left, there was a day position, because I actually worked overnights for 18 years in residential. So I was an overnight supervisor. Thank you.
Yes.
So a day. Thank you. So there was a daytime supervisor position that had opened during that period. So I made the decision that it was probably time. I feel like I'd done quite a bit in my role as an assistant coach. So that's why I left, just to be among the awake at this point too. I'm older as well, age-wise, and I don't regret. I know that I've missed out on a lot of things, and I don't regret that at all. But at some point, it's time, and I felt it was time. There was another coaching change happening at Rhode Island College, so it was time for me to back off. And then.
So you come back as Director of Operations.
I come back as Director.
What's the role?
So that is kind of.
You're not on the bench anymore.
No, I am.
Oh, you
so
are.
it's a little different for Division III than it would be for Division I or II. So Jenna Cosgrove, who's the coach there now, contacted me and said, "Hey, would you come back?" And I said, "Well, these would be the terms. I've now switched careers in the sense that I've switched now that I'm no longer in residential. I work at Adoption Rhode Island as one of these wonderful kids adoption recruiter. So it's just different responsibilities, and the time commitment is just different." So she asked if I would, would you talk? I'll take anything you can give me. I just need an older, experienced coach on the bench to help with managing the players on the bench, some of the logistical stuff. So that's what the Director of Ops does.
Perfect, right?
Yeah. So
Yes.
I spoke with my supervisor, and I understood what my responsibilities were, and she said yes. If you can't go to every away game, which I couldn't, but if you come to home games, you can do this, you can do that. She goes, "I'll take it."
Good.
And that's what I did.
Now, Claudia, the 2023, because we're running out of time here, so the 2023 campaign had Rhode Island College women's basketball team making it all the way to the Final Four. So I want you to talk about that postseason journey.
Oh.
How much fun was that?
That was storybook.
Yeah, okay.
It was so wonderful. So each time, so we win the conference, and it's an automatic bid to the NCAA. And what you see on the Division I level, we're all huddled in a room waiting to see where we're going, and then they tell us we're going to Pennsylvania. Well, I'm scrambling at work going, I need some time off. I need time off to be able to join them. So they actually left. So we're going to Scranton. So we go, and I actually had to get time off, but I ended up meeting them there. I had to drive there. I couldn't travel with the team because of work.
Yes.
So we end up winning there. And then we beat Scranton, who was undefeated all season. So
Scranton.
At Scranton.
Okay.
We quieted that crowd down. It was loud and rambunctious. And as time ticked off and we were winning, And that crowd went silent. It was something from a storybook,
Yes.
honestly. So then we go, the next pod takes us to Babson, and we beat
Into
Chicago.
like the Elite Eight?
Yes, the Elite Eight.
Okay.
So we did the field of 64, 32. We got the Sweet 16.
Oh, so it works that way,
It
all
does.
the way through.
It all,
Oh, okay.
And then, so we end up playing the University of Chicago, beat them. Now we're playing Babson, who earlier in that season crushed us by, I think, like 30 or 40 points. And we beat them on their home court to go to the Final Four.
Sweet. Yes.
We had more fans there than they did.
Really?
Absolutely. It was just an experience for our players.
Well, because it's different now, because again, as we said very earlier, that was the Walsh Center when they had
Yeah.
problems. Never mind
Yeah.
with that one. All right, so now you go to the Final Four. Where's
So
that?
the Final Four is at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we ended up playing Newport Christopher, who was the top-seeded team, and we only lost by 5
In the
Final Four.
okay.
So technically speaking, we finished 4th
Sure.
in the country for Division III, which was
Stupendous, right?
stupendous. As sad as we were overjoyed.
Well,
Cinderella team.
you finally got to the championship after all those years
Yeah.
losing in the semifinals in high school and the rest.
Yeah.
All you want to do is have a chance to play for the championship like that, and
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so now after the 2025 season finished up at Rhode Island College, you decided to retire from coaching.
I did.
Why?
I just felt it was time.
Okay.
I had put a lot of time and effort. I felt also being under Coach Cosgrove that I've given enough in the sense that it's time to let the newer generation come on and learn it.
Sure.
I did what I could, and the young ladies that graduated last year, I could always say that it's next year, the next group, but that particular group was, I'm ecstatic for, and having that relationship with them, and it was a good group to bow out with. So
And they're still contacting you now
Yeah.
just to give words of wisdom or whatever
Yeah.
else, and that's cool with you, right?
Oh,
you
absolutely.
enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
So Claudia, we've got 2 minutes remaining in the show. How did the sport of basketball change your life, and what's next for Claudia DeFaria?
I would say that basketball really has changed my life in the sense that it gave me confidence to be able to do just about everything. I was truly not a very confident person in my younger years. I always felt like I wasn't good enough, and basketball certainly propelled me forward. I always told my players, you don't want the gifts in life, you want the rewards, because rewards can't be taken from you because you earned it.
Love it.
And that's kind of like my mantra to myself, that you've earned everything that you've gotten, so just keep going forward and paying it forward as well. And that's how I feel now. In a sense, being retired, which sounds funny to me, but being able to get a phone call from a former player who is now coaching and say, hey, coach, this is what's going on. What are your thoughts on it? Or going to their games to support them and things like that. It's just been fantastic. And having more time to do it, and even going to the high school and talking to the players there and saying, hey, yeah, I don't know you don't know me, but there's been some great tradition here at Central Falls High School.
Very
So
nice.
it's just brought me a lot.
Now, Claudia, in my 35 years and 491 shows of producing and hosting Good Sports, your 40 years of success is unparalleled. Unparalleled. It's been an absolute pleasure and great fun to have you tell your phenomenal sports story on Good Sports. Thank you, and great job again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you
You're
and
very
what you
welcome.
do.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Bring it to the highlights,
Trying to tell the stories
Tell
out
the
there,
stories,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
and we'll get you on YouTube, and you'll be able to see worldwide
Oh,
the
geez.
2 shows. But this will be playing in April, both shows,
Okay.
Part 1 and Part 2. So thank you again.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Mulholland for Good Sports. Good night.